Hello, I'm Dom Griffin, your fave film critic, and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is not a review of Batman Caped Crusader. If you're wondering if Amazon's new animated series is worth seeing, it totally is. You can cut the video off right now if you're busy. When it comes to Matters of the Bat, I'm somewhat compromised, often a little too blinded by my baseline, lifelong adoration for mythology to offer the most coherent or useful analysis or commentary. When J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves announced that they were teaming with Bruce Timm to create a spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, only darker and less for kids, it seemed like an easy slam dunk. But when Zaslav and Max decided to drop it, it found second life with Amazon, which is baffling given that they're currently airing a fucking Kite Man series, but didn't think they could make something like this work for their subscribers. I was initially a little concerned the darker, more mature tone would mean the show would become needlessly grittier, but I'm happy to report that the show feels so much of a piece with its predecessor that its surface level differences almost feel besides the point. Written by a mixture of comics talent like showrunner Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka, as well as some surprises like Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul filmmakers Adama and Adane Ebo, the series follows the same relative blueprint as the original 90s animated series, only it exists as its own continuity, making a number of interesting changes to the lore. And it takes the OG show's retro, noir, dark deco stylings even further into the past. All the show's technology and gadgetry feels decidedly analog. I initially thought from the teasers that Hamish Linklater was not going to be able to step into Kevin Conroy's shoes, but in the context of the show, he's honestly so good I felt ashamed for being such an alarmist in my group chats. The show does interesting things with Barbara Gordon, Harvey Dent, and others, but I think the major changes they make to Harley Quinn ended up being my favorite revisions to the source material. I won't spoil much of the show's turns and alterations, but suffice to say, I truly enjoyed them. In terms of scale and pacing, the show is closer to My Adventures with Superman than X-Men 97. Every episode is largely self-contained despite moving a season-long arc forward, and it doesn't try to shove too much from the source material into its short runtime. No trying to speed run the Goblin Queen storyline in one fucking episode. And the animation feels like an homage without looking like dog shit. Compared to the OG series, the facial expressions are a little less elastic, the colors feel more muted, and the intro cannot come close to touching the iconic vibe of the original. But the show otherwise feels like a natural and welcome evolution from what came before it. You'll have to excuse me, but as an elder millennial, I have spent the last 30 years of my life chasing the high of Batman the Animated Series. Back in 2004 or 5, when Grant Morrison first started their 7-year-long Batman run, animated series vet Paul Dini was given the reins to Detective Comics, where he largely made every issue of the book feel like an episode of the series. Later, Dini and Alan Burnett worked on Batman The Adventures Continue, where characters and storylines we never got to see in the DCAU came to life as a digital comic. Seeing Jason Todd, the Court of Owls, and Deathstroke in that style was entertaining, but it never quite hit the spot. The thing I've always loved about the animated series, and similarly the thing that I love about Caped Crusader, is that it's always felt like comfort food. It's a little silly maybe to say that a children's cartoon about superheroes is like chicken soup for the soul, but for me it kind of always has been. The animated series debuted the weekend of my mom's birthday back in 1992. I was 5 years old, and she had gone out of town. I don't know what she went to go do. I don't remember. I was 5, but she left me with my aunt babysitting me. And the thing is, I was a huge mama's boy as a child. I was the only child at that point. My dad wasn't around, so I was anytime my mom went anywhere without me, I was a terror about it. And I love my aunt. She's a cool lady, but normally I don't think I would have wanted to be there alone with her in that way. But it didn't matter because I had Batman. The first episode of the show that aired, I believe, was the Catwoman episode, the first part of a 2-parter, and that was a primetime thing. But the next day, at the children's watching hour, they aired the Man-Bat episode, and that was the first one I saw. And it really cemented a lifelong love of Batman. I mean, the comics had done that. I grew up reading Pete Milligan's work on Detective Comics and a lot of the Jim Aparo stuff, but between that and the Tim Burton movie, the animated series put it into the red for me. That was where I really fell for Batman. And at that time, it didn't matter that my mom wasn't around because Batman was here, and Batman's he's Batman. The other night, while I was reeling from the absolute brain dead news from San Diego Comic-Con that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Dr. Doom in an Avengers movie, I honestly thought about making a video about that, but I didn't want to put out a 45-minute video of me just cursing and saying very mean things. I don't think the world needs that. I don't think I needed that. To get away from it, I threw on an old episode of the animated series on Max. I watched The Cape and Cowl Conspiracy, written by a legendary Superman writer Elliot S. Maggin, from a story he penned in Detective Comics 450 back in the 70s. You may remember it as the Birth of Do-Rag Batman, but it immediately worked for me. It had a timeless quality, and Cape Crusader does too. Amazon sent me the entire first season like 3 weeks ago, and I was having a very bad day. It's been a summer full of bad days, but that day in particular was very bad. And I just got the email being like, hey, we have these screeners for Cape Crusader. They sent me all 10 episodes of the show. And I just dropped whatever else I was doing because I was like kind of mentally spiraling, and I was like, I'm just going to watch the show. I'm going to watch the whole fucking, they sent me all 10 episodes. I'm going to watch all of it. Are you kidding me? And it truly just put me at ease. Like, it just made me feel, it sort of, I guess, healed my inner child. I don't know, like that's something I've talked about in the podcast in the past, like that sometimes just like revisiting things that you liked as you were a kid is like, it really does something for you as an adult. And to be clear, it's different than I think some of the kind of weird nostalgia that has really taken hold in the mainstream. It was comforting to just enjoy bite-sized, sort of self-contained, very satisfying morsels of stories. It really felt like when you're a kid and you just read floppies, like you're just reading through comics, like you don't have to read everything, you don't have to read everything in order or whatever. You can just pick up these random adventures and read them, and they're fun, and you put them down and it's over. It's like a nice little thing. It's a welcome respite from the way that like most mainstream super movies and like most mainstream depictions of superheroes, they're all capturing the things about comics that suck. They're in their era where they're capturing all the things about comics that make people not read comics. The crossover feeling, the feeling of having to read all this stuff, the feeling of having to be kind of tapped in, the feeling that they're always just kind of regurgitating stuff for nostalgia's sake. Like that, we're in that era, that cycle where every major superhero thing happening in the mainstream is like perfectly capturing all the shit that runs every comic book reader away. So many adults that I know who loved reading comics are like, I can't keep up with all that bullshit. And here we are having to keep up with a lot of bullshit. So it's nice to just watch something that's like a breezy, well-paced 20-something minute show, and every episode's its own self-contained thing. There's little things that, you know, tease out a season-long arc, but it's not like you could watch them out of order half the time and not really be a big deal. And it's just, they're just good. Like, I apologize I don't have like a more like nuanced analysis of like why it's good, but it really is as simple as, did you really like the animated series? This is that, but more and a little different and new. And that's enough for me. It's more than enough, quite frankly. I hope we get more seasons. I hope we get like just tons and tons and tons. But if it's just this one, if it's just this one season, these 10 episodes, that's enough for me. I can just rewatch whenever I want. So you can see the boxes behind me. I am moving out of this apartment in like 2 days, or by the time you're watching this in 1 day. And I started this channel, the Armchair Auteur, in February of 2019 in this very apartment. And pretty much, I mean, I've shot videos like outside of the apartment, but like I've lived here the whole time in front of the channel. And it's, you know, the whole situation about me moving is really, really stressful and all this different stuff. But like, I just realized this week that like, you know, this is the last video I'll ever make in this apartment. And the channel itself has been through a lot of different eras. It's gone through a lot of changes and stuff. And some of you guys have been rocking with me from the jump when I was releasing very long, unprepared videos where I just rambled for like half an hour. Some of you have been here with me since the pandemic when I tried to get a little bit more scripted and locked down and do kind of more video essay type content. Some of you have really just been rocking with me since the podcast started, like the podcast era of the channel, and that's cool too. Some of you, this might be your first video of me or last, I don't know. So I really just wanted to thank everybody again for like rocking with me for like literally 5.5 years of the channel. That's crazy. I can't believe I've been doing it for this long. I've made close to 300 videos. And it just means the world to me that so many people have listened and watched and all that. And, you know, once some stuff gets straightened out for me, I'm going to be back with more. I miss making videos. I miss doing the podcast. And I want to get back to all that. And I will. So, thank you guys for watching. I do want to just kind of like plug, I hate saying plug, but one more time, I do have a crowdfunding campaign in the description below if I'm still raising some money, because as I move out of this apartment, I have no real place to go, and I'm just trying to like get some help doing some temporary lodging and stuff like that. So if you're up to it, please just check the link out, read the description and stuff, and either if you can donate, but if not, just maybe share it, do whatever you can, or really just share positive thoughts about me too. That's fine too. It just having a hard time out here and working through it. And I'm really grateful that I've got the friends and the audience and the community that I have that's kind of helped me get through it. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions about the Cape Crusader, put them in the comments below. If you like the video, like it, subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you have any questions either, like, or whatever, just, you know, put those in the thing. We haven't done like Q&As from the pod in a while, but like I'm around if you guys just want to talk or email me questions about stuff. Like I'm down. So thank you for watching. Be good to yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll see you guys around. Bye.